The answer is take the win and run.
I get hung up on certain things.
I have OCD, Jake.
I mean, hi guys, my name's Jeff. I'm an equal opportunity lover. You guys know that.
But wouldn't the dog want to stay on the meat wagon?
We say you can convince the dog to hop off.
That's insane.
Yeah, I'm intelligent.
That's such a Jeff answer right there.
He's handsome, curly-haired, and Jewish, sitting right here.
Jeff, you are a golden retriever.
Hey, Jake, that's what you kids call that drip, right?
It was good despite the gastric consequences, but call me the crystal ball here, man. I'm getting everything right except my own picks. That's really, to me, a battle of two of the coaches with the best hair.
Welcome to the E Show, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. Founded in 2013, the EHL is your next step on the path to college. Over the past decade, the EHL has established itself as the college placement leader on the East Coast. And now, here's your host, the commissioner of the Eastern Hockey League, Neil Ravin.
Thanks, Jim. With that, let's bring in Jeff and Jake, guys. I think every season, as we move along, the months, it starts to feel more and more like hockey. But when you wake up and it's or colder than 30 degrees, that's when it really feels like hockey to me. When I woke up this morning, I was like, wow, it's cold.
Yep. Me and Christina just heard the heat on last night for the first time, sadly but surely.
I applaud you because I hold out for as long as I can.
Right.
It drives Vicky nuts, but I could not make it as long as you did this year.
I turned it on like 3 weeks ago.
Whoa! Well, that's because you spend most of your time at Cadillac Ice Arena, and it's just very cold.
You can't shake it off. Like you need like 16 hours like before you like are not cold anymore once you leave that rig.
Yeah, the CIA is colder than I remember. At least, I don't know. It just seemed like it during the showcase.
Yeah. When we were there for the showcase a couple weeks ago, Jeff, I know you missed last week's podcast, so we're happy to have you back on. James Mello at the showcase asked me if the AC was on.
Felt like it at times, yeah. I would agree, James. Felt like that.
Yep. Rhode Island, though, speaking of, fresh off of a win, so let's talk about it right now on Around the E Show.
Let's take a look at what's going on around the E Show.
So we'll start there in the Central Division, because as I mentioned, Rhode Island coming off of a win yesterday. And just looking at this division as a whole, obviously you've touched on this all season long, feels like we're heading towards a Capitals Rhode Island possible battle of Rhode Island a battle. What is Rhode Island? The what state? Because we always joke that Connecticut's the nutmeg state. What is Rhode Island?
Ocean State.
The Ocean State. Okay.
Ocean State. Right on our license plates.
Okay.
Yeah, where nobody can figure out how to drive a car. Rhode Island.
Wow.
I would agree. I would agree, Jake. There's a lot of bad drivers in the state.
I wasn't going there with the Central Division, but Jake took it there, so I'm glad that he did. But
I don't take it personal because I'm not a true Rhode Islander. I'm still, 5-6 years into my Rhode Island career.
I didn't mean it personally. It's just everybody there, so I can't mean it personally. There's too many people for me to target.
And Jake frequents the Capitals Rhode Island games too much to truly.
But let's talk about the Capitals for a second, because Jake just touched on the pain that is Cadillac Ice Arena and how cold it is. Mm-hmm. They technically lost 3 straight games in Cadillac Ice Arena, right? They lost the 2 in the showcase, then went right back there on Tuesday, got back in the winning column yesterday. What is your current pulse on this Capitals team, would you say?
I think they feel still okay. I mean, they're still at the top of their division, but losing those 3 and Rhode Island having a 2 of 3 showcase and now just beating the Nor'easter, they're back within 2 points. And It's an even amount of games right now. So Providence had a pretty substantial lead at one point. They've seen that gap close. I don't think there's any panic, but I definitely think things are a little bit different right now, and that there's a little bit more of a fire underneath them.
Yeah.
And I know Coach Perot is definitely the one lighting that fire right now.
For sure.
Yeah, and I actually had the pleasure of calling the Capitals games. The Apple Core game, right? The one the Apple Core won 5-3. I said it. The Apple Core were huge underdogs in that game. They'd only won 1 game. You're going up against the league's leading scorer in Declan Kelly. The Capitals just kind of looked like they were starting to get frustrated, but that's what we always talk about, right, Neil, Jake, is that junior hockey it's a gauntlet. It's a long season. So you're going to go through the ups and downs. You're not always going to be at your highest, but when you're going through the mud per se right now, then they got to figure it out and kind of use this as, learning lessons to right the ship and be better down the stretch.
Yeah. for sure, for sure.
I think Declan Kelly has had a point in every single game this season so far. I think he's on an 18 game point streak right now.
Wow.
Wow,
Or 17 game point streak, whatever it is for the 18. Yeah.
that's a pretty good
That's not
streak.
bad.
Yeah,
I
that's
wouldn't
pretty
mind
good.
it.
That's not terrible.
Yeah, it's like he's carrying your fantasy team there, Jake.
I mean, yeah, somebody has to.
We'll get to fantasy later on. I don't know if you noticed, but I updated the last night for the last 2 days, and you're back in like a good position.
There's no such thing as a good position. There's first, and then there's not first.
Okay,
You ain't first, you're last.
Okay, Ricky Bobby. But it does feel.
All right, we gotta wait on it. You keep bringing up fantasy, dude. I'm gonna get like too antsy early on.
Okay.
I was just saying that happened a lot last week. That was a great episode. I was very, very entertained. I think later on Jake deserves or I think the Wolves deserve an apology from Jake. Heard the way
Yes,
No.
we're gonna get to that.
We're gonna get to that.
This is not gonna be an apology tour. All right, I'm just a canceled celebrity here.
Just some
But-
good teases for everyone to stay on for another little bit.
As it always is early to talk about playoffs. At the same time, we are entering winter here pretty soon, so we're moving along in fall. And right now, obviously, Capitals in first, Rhode Island in second. A little bit of a gap for them before the two Nutmeg State teams and the Nor'easter and Rough Riders, who have 14 and 12 points respectively. But then the Apple Corps have been playing a lot better lately, guys, with 6 points. I know, there's still that 6 point gap, but having got up to the showcase, getting that win against Providence, what do you think that did for the team's confidence kind of moving forward? Obviously, they've dug themselves into a little bit of a hole here, but if they can string off 2 or 3 in a row themselves, they're right back in this thing.
Yeah, I think it's huge. I mean, with Connor McNeilis knows how to win at the premier level. He's figuring it out at the EHL level, and he's got a lot of guys that are trying to figure it out at the EHL level. Tyler Goebel leading the way, but you got Evan Manna, you got Braden Galante, Robbie Nolan just came over in the trade from the Nor'easter recently. So they got some guys, and I saw them all, calling that win against the Capitals. They started to feel it a little bit on the bench. You could see their confidence and the momentum go up. The next day, who would they play the second day? Because I remember Connor Manning was calling across the way, and I think they had a 1-0 lead.
HCRI.
They lost.
HCRI.
Yeah. So they had a lead in that game. So, that kind of carried into the next game. But yeah, I mean, I think, again, it's a long season. We just said that. And New York is far from out of it. Nobody is running away with it in the Central. Yes, Providence and HCRI are at the top, but yeah, I think New York's starting to build some confidence. Good for them.
Yeah, and a very long season. So to segue that into the South, I felt kind of bad last week. We came up with this great podcast title last week, Jake.
Yeah.
November, and by the
I
time
was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, by the time I hit posts on Instagram, I don't know. They were getting shut out by the 87s at the moment, but and they got shut out in that game. So it was really kind of tough timing to hit the post button, but they still have, I mean, I'm having deja vu, guys. Like, they have a 12-point lead still, and they've kind of, in a way, sputtered a little bit the last 2 weeks. Right?
Yeah,
so this is literally, this is deja vu to last year right now. Kind of earlier, though.
Yeah, and I still am of the opinion that they're going to be in a better position than they were in the new year.
Yep.
And almost I would prefer to have it like in a time like this rather than when they had it than last year. I mean, they were stalling going into the playoffs, stalling going into Thanksgiving break is not the worst thing in the world. They just got a win, though, over the Apple Corps, so they are kind of back in their rhythm. I'm going to see them in person next week, so that'll be pretty exciting, too.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Where are you going, Jake?
JV goes south. That's what we're calling this.
You're going all the way to Jersey to see them?
Yeah, staying with the aunt and uncle. They live near Flemington, so that'll be cool. But 87s really have turned things around, especially offensively, for them to be producing the way they're producing after the way they started. Coach Hooley, like we know, he presses all the right buttons with his team and he gets them going when they need to. So I wonder if New Jersey, with 3 games in hand too, can continue to close that gap in a way that HCRI just did with the Central.
Yeah, for sure.
I know you guys touched on it last week, but what a re-addition Alexander Legkoff's been for them.
Oh my God, right? He leads the team in points. He's only been there for 7 games.
7 games.
Landon
Adams too.
Yeah,
That's a beauty.
Yeah. Adams was a great re-addition too. Was he injured to start the year? Because I was say he just came back. He just played his first 3 games too. So That's
You know,
another re-addition to a
yeah,
guy that's already been there and scored 20 plus goals for Adam Booley. So
for sure.
that's sometimes all it takes is one, but getting two guys that can score like that resets their entire forward lineup for sure.
Yeah. Next week's podcast title can be JB Goes South. We'll save that one for next week.
Ooh.
As you do go south. But keeping there, right? So we just touched on, the Bears in the 87s. We just recently announced a Bears commitment, Ryan Hacker to
Hacker, yeah.
Wilkes. Coming
Congrats.
soon, a PHC commitment, Connor Movali to Wilkes. So
Ooh.
that's gonna be kind of cool for the two of them to, they already have that weight off their shoulders right now, but you're still opponents for the rest of the year. So that's a unique one for me, because if Mo Valley has a chance to post up in front, maybe he kind of says like, "Hey, I'm going to get you right now, but we're teammates next year."
Maybe he winks at him, blows him a kiss, something like that.
Yes. Now I don't think Mo Valley is really usually the net front presence on the power play because of his shot. But if he ever slides into that position, so.
Right.
But
Yeah,
awesome for both of those guys, because that's obviously a top 15 school in NCAA hockey and first place right now, in the MAC conference. So huge to get those two guys committed right away this season.
Love it.
Congrats,
Um,
boys. We're all here for. We're players come
yes.
first.
So we started central, then we went south. So we'll kind of just rotate, north next. And maybe the Avalanche don't want to talk about this, but let's talk about it, guys. When they go to Laconia, they struggle. Like,
Yeah.
they got out to a 2-0 lead yesterday. Is that something where, the skates just stopped moving and you thought that you're going to coast the rest of the way? Because with this Wolves team, they play until the final horn, and they got them yesterday.
They did. And the Wolves actually switching up too, went from Reardon to Bukatov. So now they got a two-headed goalie monster. We talked all about Cam Reardon to start the year, and now it's been kind of an even split. And yeah, I mean, talking to Coach Kuhns at the showcase, gave him a little bit of guff because of how ridiculous their roster is for pronunciations this year. Oh my God, they make you earn your game check. They
Yeah.
usually do, but this year I was like sweating going through their names before they started their game. But all jokes aside, no, good for them. And yeah, I mean, the Wolves, they're trying to let the Avalanche know this. Everyone always talks about the Avalanche. We talked a lot about them. I think it was 2 weeks ago that the division has multiple teams. It's not just the New Hampshire Avalanche. The New England Wolves are very good at both levels. We'll talk about Premier level later, but yeah, I mean, that was a heck of a win for the Wolves.
Yeah, I was getting a little bit nervous right before the start of the showcase, Jeff, because Justin and I, we were trying to merge Harry Kramer's profiles together, and they weren't merging. And I think probably because of this, there were just too many awards listed under his name to get it to merge together.
Wow.
With how many times he was named Star of the Week or Star of the Month last year, and then
Yep.
already twice this year. So
He's been incredible this year.
yeah, well, at one point, Jake, though, like we were like very close to the start of the showcase, and I was like, at some point, someone's gonna be like, "Hey, do they have two Harrison Kramers?" And it's like, no, they have one. But
I mean, he puts up points like he's two people. That's
yeah,
for sure.
I would agree.
One human.
He is awesome, and that I love. I mean, listen, like despite any flack that I've caught for the Wolves since the weekend, like I think it's no secret that I'm a pretty big Wolves advocate. So I mean, for Ryan Tien, I mean, what a game to have! Like a goal and 2 assists against that team is massive. I mean, that's what it's all about. And I mean, that division now is tight at the top. We're seeing like the battle at the top for a lot of different, or all 4 divisions. The gap is not that big. Some teams have some games in hand and stuff, and you have to still win those, right? So yeah, it's tight at the top everywhere.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. We wrap it up in the East Division, and I kind of had to laugh to myself a little bit because we've obviously joked about this enough with the Wizards and the hot start that they're off to, but kind of similar to a position that Providence was in up until they got the monkey off their back a few weeks ago with Rhode Island. The Wizards have 4 losses, and half of their losses are against the Express, the team chasing them in the standings, but they also have games in hand. How anxious would that make you feel as a Wizards player, right? The next time you face the Express, like, hey, we have to win this game.
Yeah, and actually, Jake, wasn't it you that shared some ridiculous record about Coach Coda versus the Wizards in his career?
He's lost to the
Tell that
Wizards
to the people?
once.
Wait,
Once.
what?
Yeah, I was saying,
Yeah,
oh, I don't even know the
January
name.
of his first year in the league, 23 January of 23 is the only time he's lost to the East Coast Wizards.
So that's how many times?
It's a lot of games. They played each other twice in the
Double
playoffs
digits.
that year too. And Jack Boschert was Jack Boschert, and now Alex Koenig is being Alex Koenig, and that's such a big problem.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's
One time.
maybe over 10 games that they've played.
Probably a little more than that, if we're being
Yeah, I mean, and
honest.
there's a
10,
lot of
15?
close games in there too.
Oh my God, shootouts, like
Yeah.
overtime. Yeah, it's wild.
The
Wow.
2-0 game I just called was a close game. Even though
Yeah.
the Wizards got shut out, that was a great game.
Yeah.
Those
Alex
60
Koenig.
minutes. Alex Koenig show.
They are
Big likes
separated
him.
by a point right now at the top, but obviously the Express have 2 games in hand. And then when you look at the bottom of the division right now, with the Eagles, Bandits, and Seahawks, Eagles kind of have a little small cushion there for third place, and then Bandits and Seahawks. I mean, obviously the tough part in this is one team is going to be left out. I'm not going to ask you guys to pick who that is right now, but looking at the 3 teams, is there one player that's the biggest X factor of those 3 teams combined? Like, if you want me to take it first, like Isaac. I know we're not saying his last
Yeah.
name on this podcast, but I mean, as he goes, the Seahawks go. Does that feel like an accurate statement?
I'd say so.
Yes, I think so too. Do I have to say Riley Handsome? I mean, I think I have to say. I think I'm obligated by my contract from birth as a Long Islander to say him. But I think Isaac actually probably is the best answer objectively. But the Bridgewater as a whole, they have points in 3 of their last 4. They had a massive come from behind game against the Eagles. They ended up losing in overtime. They actually took the lead. They were down 4-1. They were up 5-4. And now they just won yesterday. And I was talking to Coach Drev ahead of a P game on Monday. Coach Drev is my best friend, by the way. I just wanted to get that in there. And he was just saying how he has zero intention on missing the playoffs this year, and that to get to first, which would be the best case scenario, you got to get to fourth, you got to get to third, you got to get to second. So I like his team a lot this year. I think they have a really good mindset, and for them, I think Ben Diaz is a great hockey player, and I know he has some lofty goals. So as just an 06, so we'll see what he can put together as the season moves on for Bridgewater.
Yeah. Didn't you say you wrote Drev in for president or something like that?
No, remember how we talked about if we could pick a coach or a player to be our VP? We were running it. Yeah.
Yes.
So Miles Kidd, player choice. Scott Drevich, coach choice.
That's your Oval Office right there. Okay.
That's yeah.
Big running mates.
We just kind of touched on this, but we're gonna rip the Band-Aid off fully as we jump over to the EHLP. I put Jake on the spot last week, and I said to him definitively, are the Wolves going to win both games in this series? And he said, no, win one, lose the second. And listen, the best part is you're owning it, Jake, right? You're owning it. They proved us wrong, right? So they have the longest winning streak in EHLP history, period, end of story.
Yeah, and I didn't say it to call out the Wolves. They took it that way for sure.
You get some text
tags I was getting from Trimble and everybody's not just mine, not just yours, but everybody's favorite EHLP captain Zach Spakusa was crazy. And then I commented congrats guys on the post, and the whole P team liked the comment. I was passionate,
but Andrew Trimble played that on the loudspeakers inside the gym.
Yeah. Oh, dude, Zach Spakusa used the word rattled. I think I don't know. I didn't mean it that way, but listen. I was trying to be political about it. I was they'll win one and they'll lose one. I'm a great mediator, but I got fed. And I'm okay with it. I like it. I appreciate it. And listen, if we can motivate teams by the things we say on here, we're doing our jobs, right? So if they were feeling it, then mission accomplished.
Yeah. Jake, that is so well said. Neil, what have we always said for years? It's our job as journalists and reporters for this league, broadcasters, to cover the league, make bold statements, stand by them like men, and then when they prove us wrong, good. Guess what? Yes. We motivated you. Congratulations. The job of the podcast is done.
And if the 3 of the players at the top, in Cam Plum, Zach Spakusa, and Charles Etienne want to stay where they are, we can figure out some way to go MVP forward of the year, top prospect forward, because they're making it really difficult to figure out like who is the MVP of this team right now.
Yeah, wow.
I mean,
Let's
they're the
just
three leading scorers, not just on their team, in the league.
Yeah.
We have to pick one of them probably for MVP. I know that there's some players from the other teams that, Cole Davidson, drives the bus for Adirondack. Cooper,
I saw him yesterday. Like, he could have tied that game himself. That was not like quite a 5-2 game.
Yeah.
Every time he was out there, Ben Ashton for the Express P team had to be on his toes in goal, and he was.
And then I think you call him Captain Coop for the
Captain
Express.
Coop.
Like,
He didn't play yesterday. Ripped my heart out, but
Yeah.
he was dressed to the nines though, so it was a win-win.
he steers the ship for the Express, and then Friedman for the Seahawks. So obviously those guys have a big argument as well. But it's just crazy to see the gap that the three Wolves players have created for themselves at the top of the league leaders. Like,
They're all averaging over 2 points a game.
I mean, these are video game numbers right now.
Yeah. That's Connor McDavid. That's, Charlie DiMartino from the Express from last year type numbers. He finished with
me and Shell. Yeah, everything. Yeah.
Jake and Shell.
Everything he says.
Oh, God.
Jake, you just slipped those in there at the perfect time, and we thank you for that. Obviously, it's not going to be easy for them, like, the rest of the way in the North Division. The games of the Avalanche were great games. Valley's won a couple of straight games. Adirondack, I think, is a really good fourth place team. Same with Vermont being a quote unquote fifth place team. So it's going to be a great race to watch there in the North Division. But then looking at the East Division, and while their their EHL team is kind of getting back on track, the EHLP Providence Capitals 7 straight games, and then look a little bit further down the standings. Nor'easter's Academy team, that's also the EHLP team, has points in 7 straight games too. Big win yesterday,
and they just beat the Seahawks yesterday.
Yes, so I think that they're like probably the quietest team so far this year, just because they haven't played as many games as the rest. But someone that we should start kind of keeping an eye on here, because they're getting really hot right before Thanksgiving.
And they just won. Capitals just won 10-6. I mean, we didn't even talk about the they scored a touchdown, a field goal. Express got a touchdown, missed the extra point.
I was hoping that was going to be Jake's game, but I know it was at Providence. That would have been a lot of goal calls.
I was so happy it wasn't. I'm like conditioned to like a 2-1 hockey game from like being an Islanders fan. So like for me, like
16 goal calls.
Defensive stout hockey game is all I could really ask for. Like that 10-6 game, I would have been just like in the bathroom in tears at intermission. Like, I don't want to keep like going on. That's not my kind of game.
Calls.
But,
Go.
No, that Nor'easter team, I was really impressed that they picked up a win over the Seahawks, because the Seahawks are a bit older, right? That Nor'easter team is a pretty young team. And that Seahawks squad is super in your face. Like, they play just like the EHL Seahawks. Like, they are relentless. They bang bodies. They don't make it easy on you to break out pucks. So for the Nor'easter to take them down is super impressive to me. And I don't think it's the first time they played them, if I'm not mistaken. So
I'm not sure.
But then again, like Providence, they kind of have run away a little bit at the top. And I think what you see there is a lot of guys benefiting from having played some EHL time too, right? Mm-hmm. James Caron is one of their best players. Jack Farrell has an EHL goal. He's one of their best players. So I think you see those guys, they play a little bit of a manlier game, and it benefits them at that level. And the same goes for the Seahawks. So, not a dig on the Nor'easter, but to me, that was a little bit of an upset, but maybe it's more of a sign of things to come.
Yeah. And they can play that in their gym when they're working out also.
Sorry, Coach Espo.
How about real quick, the story about the veggies on the burner last week? What are we doing?
Oh, God, yes. I mean,
cooking veggies on the burner? Boys, come on.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? You don't know what a skillet is? You don't know what a pan is?
Maybe we have to. We've already talked about, JB goes south. Like, JB teaches cooking.
Jake, you're an amazing chef. Can you please just help the boys 101? Like, hey.
Like, I don't think you can't teach that, though.
Yeah, but like maybe the December showcase starts early. We just roll in a stove for you, and we can just have like a little like session for the players. Like, hey,
Get
This
out of
is
here.
broccoli. You put broccoli in this pan to cook it. You don't put it directly on the stove burner.
Actually, doesn't
Right.
Valley have a kitchen in the back office there? Do they have a stove?
They have a kitchen. Do they have a stove, Jeff?
Oh
Have to
my.
text the veteran Ryan McGrath. and
I
ask
mean, if Jake could pull off making a meal
Oh.
mid showcase, that would put that showcase on another level.
It would
I
be
just
pretty good
wouldn't.
social media.
I wouldn't sleep one night, but I could do it for sure.
Okay.
That's would be the cost.
You want to sleep in Haverhill at the rink?
Yeah. As long as McGrath is there with me, I don't have a problem with that.
We can arrange that for you.
We've all been I mean, me and Neil have been offered to stay there with Coach McGrath before.
Numerous
It's a
times.
very big back office.
It saves on hotels, so I'm sure someone's happy about that somewhere.
They have a lot of offices, big old conference room, plenty of space.
Wrapped up with the South Division. We touched a lot last week on the shutout records that the 87s are hoping to get to. Nothing to add to that yet, but keeping an eye on Patrick McGillis, Shuddy, and Frankie Smith. But we will now jump to fantasy.
Now it's time for the E-Show Fantasy Challenge. Follow along on the EHL app. Available now for free on both Apple iOS and Android.
And as we do every week on fantasy, we start with our Yahoo Fantasy Hockey League, and it's been a little busy, guys. Okay, and I don't know if Ted from the Fantasy League is going to hear this, but like when things are busy, please just stop firing off trade proposal after trade proposal to me relentlessly until I hit accept. And I'm not moving Cale Makar. Okay, like I can't do that. So, did you guys see the trade that I made? I need to know your thoughts. I moved Swayman and Eichel for Hellebuck and McAvoy. It felt like a very fair trade.
Hellebuck is an upgrade over Swayman right now. The Bruins are a disaster.
Okay, they're an average disaster, but go on.
Yeah. They just don't impress me right now. They're hurting my eyeballs.
Then obviously Eichel provides more value than McAvoy, but
right.
like,
So I guess that evens out. But yeah, that's a good Hellebuck.
Did I ever tell you my Connor Hellebuck story when I interned for the Hockey East?
Oh, when he was at UMass Lowell?
I mean, this was literally over a decade ago.
Do tell.
Right. So
Wow.
I mean, what? Are you laughing at my age, Jake? I mean, that's
Yeah.
not funny.
I am.
So
And I'm older than plug, so stop laughing.
Yeah, so I interned for the Hockey East my senior year of college, which was 2012, 2013.
Oof.
And he was playing at UMass Lowell at the time. And he was like an absolute stud in the Hockey East playoffs. I think he gave up I think they had like 6 games and it was like 1 goal shutout, 2 goals shutout, 1 goal. Like he was like far and away, like carried them to the championship. And the reporter at the time was trying to get him for an interview. Like nobody could get him. I walk up to Connor Hellebuck. I'm 22 years old, right? And the only way I could get his attention is I grabbed his jersey right here. And I was like, hey, we need you for an interview. And he was like, sorry. And I was like, okay. That's how I got Connor Hellebuck's attention. I mean, he's 6 foot what? Like he's
huge.
Yeah, and like I mean,
6'5",
it's all
6'6".
these huge guys that are celebrating that this won the Hockey East championship, but we couldn't get his attention. The only way we could is I literally grabbed the center of his jersey and I was like, Connor, we need you. Because I was filming for this girl to do the interview, and he came over and he was tremendous about it, right? But it was like, I just laughed to this day because I'm like, that guy is now like a top 3
Stud.
goalie in the NHL.
Sure is.
And I had to just
to
just grab his jersey to get his
smacked you with his blocker. He's like,
Oh.
oh, trying to fight? Get off me. Neil Ravin.
And now he's on my fantasy team.
Now he's on your fantasy team.
Full circle. Wow.
Neil, thanks for the 2-point win last week. Appreciate it.
And if you win the fantasy hockey championship, you have to interview him again.
Hey.
Wow. Hey,
It's true.
Connor, want to come on the EHL podcast? That would be amazing.
I'm getting pumped this week. I don't know how you guys are doing, but let's Celebrini. Who's that? Melissa? Yeah.
Yeah.
How
Well,
is she the
'cause-
highest scoring team in our league? And she's 2-3.
Well, that's just bad luck, man.
Oh, poor Melissa.
Yeah. I'm playing Jamie this week, but we can't say his team name. So, anyways. Like we always say, though, Jeff, with all these 2-3 teams, and Melissa included, if this continues to be her trend where she's, the highest scoring team, but her record continues to go south, she can always pivot to DraftKings.
You absolutely can. Maybe you want an anytime goal scorer. Maybe you want an over-under. Well, the quest for the Stanley Cup starts now. The puck's dropping on the 24-25 season. Get in on all the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first timers to get started, by the way. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win, just a straight money line. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bet. And if you're new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Yes, just $5 and you get 200 in bonus bets instantly. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Do you have a gambling problem? If so, you can call 1-800-GAMBLER in New York, call 877-8-HOPENY, or you can text HOPENY. That would be 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. You can avoid that in Ontario. Bonus bets do expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball. NFL Plus Premium offer available only to new and former NFL Plus subscribers. Additional NFL Plus Premium terms at NFL.com/terms.
Jeff, love that you're back this week because that took a while last week. We only post the recorded version, but
How many tries, Jake?
oh, dude, it was our version of I'm Ron Burgundy. Right,
Justin, like you gotta find that.
The crown is yours. The crown is mine. I don't know.
I could not get through it. I was crying.
There were just two words. Problem? Yeah, he really struggled with gambling problem. We couldn't get past those two words, but we eventually did. Right,
dude, it's hard for me because like the only gambling problem that I have is that I just make too much money on DraftKings. You know what I mean?
UFC.
No, I like it had a question mark and I read it like super heavy on the question mark. And Neil was like, it doesn't have a question mark. And I was like, it does, man. So I was like, gambling problem? Like I was flexing on people that have gambling problems.
I'm Jake Basile.
I have a gambling problem? I don't know.
So when we recorded last week, Jake had actually started to fall back a little bit in the standings, right? He's back in third place now. Funny, the three guys in first, second, and third place, including Declan Kelly himself, have Declan Kelly on their team. So 30 points so far in the month of November. Obviously, we mentioned Alex Koenig, 21.8 points so far in November. Probably would have more if they didn't have such a two-headed monster in goal, where they keep going to him too. Right?
I shot myself in the foot a little bit. So Declan Kelly has Anton Petrovsky on D. I gave him an assist that the stat keeper didn't give him on Tuesday.
Wow.
Because he drove the net and he created the play. So like that's an assist. So I just put myself back a whole point there.
Yeah. Well, listen, honesty wins in
integrity is what really matters, right?
Yes.
Like you got to set that example.
Yes.
Somebody does, and it's got to be the 3LL.
Yes, exactly. I mean, the leading point getter so far in November of all fantasy players, of course, is Charles Etienne Waugh. 6 goals, 5 assists, 3 power play points, a hat trick, a game winner. I mean, what these Wolves players are doing offensively is kind of silly, right? But we also should touch on Ville Bowden. I mean, he has 2 goals, 5 assists, 2 power play points, a shorthanded point, and a game winner. A bunch of those came just in that Providence game alone, right? For his own 21 points.
Yeah. And Ville is a guy who started the season with like 6 goals and 1 assist.
Yeah.
So he is definitely like rounding out his game here as he's creating a little bit on a line with Arts and Brissett right now.
Yes. He's impressive too. I told him that Jake after I called those games. He's really good.
Yeah. So I'm going to probably try and hand fantasy points off to Jake next season. The one thing that he won't, the one hurdle that he won't run into though, is every month or every day that the Bears play, I'm like, was that Chris Bankovitz or Michael Bankovitz? Can I put it in the right spot? Like I've had to double check the Bankovitz points probably 5 times this month because you want it to be right? The last thing I want is like, hey, you didn't calculate it correctly, right? And every time, then there was a goal scored by Chris, assisted by Michael, and then they switched for a goal too. And I was like, my head is kind of spinning with this right now. But Chris
has get brothers that good, right?
Yes.
Like the Sedins, like, yep, we're just as good as the other.
Chris has 15 fantasy points so far in November. Michael has 17. Obviously, the goalies really start to stand out as the month progresses. We mentioned Isaac coming off a 33 save shutout. Jake, I need you to pronounce this one for me. The goalie for Adirondack.
Yeah, saw him yesterday. Dawson Zadarozny.
Okay, you're the broadcaster now.
Oh,
I'm
man.
not. So,
Yeah.
Get that one
50
right.
saves yesterday, so that pushes him over 30 points so far this month. And remember, we really only have 10 days left or so in fantasy because nobody's playing a game the 25th or beyond. So, if anyone wants to make a move here in fantasy, I would do it now.
Do
So
it.
the guy in first place is Patrick Johnston. I will work to identify who he is. I'm assuming he's related to someone.
Yeah, he's got a good blend there.
Yeah, so he's got Declan Kelly from Providence, Michael Bankovich from the Bears, and Jason Lorico from the Nor'easter. So but then the name doesn't match up, so I don't know. I got to figure that out. But obviously, we mentioned this last week. A lot of players still are in the top 10, and then welcome back to the top 10, Joe LaChase.
Oh, Howard
right?
Beach.
You know,
You
had
just
a
feel at home when you hear that name.
Right?
So, and Jake, I don't know if you scrolled down far enough, but I'm now in 45th place. Okay. So you didn't have to
Hey.
scroll as far as last week. To get Anthony's name, you got to go to 58. So just saying.
Oh, Olivia Scalise in 20th. Me and
Yeah.
Liv are right next to each other. Liv's 20th. I'm 22nd.
Yeah.
We're hanging in there, kind of, sort of. Hey, how about Mikey Basile in 15th?
He was in 6th like just a few days ago.
Yes.
How quick things change. Fantasy will rip your heart out. This is not for the faint of heart here. This is a cutthroat industry.
I just love going down the list and seeing like parents, but also alumni and like current players and then like coaches' sons. So Vanek Zanaboni is in 29th place. Where's Coach Richard's son?
Collins in 51st.
Okay. So again, no, Collins sticking true to the Seahawks. And Vanek. Oh, Vanek did too this month. I shouldn't say that. So
Attaboy, Vanek. Vanek
Yeah.
heard we were chirping him for that.
Yeah. Did he say something to you?
No, I'm just guessing.
Oh, yeah. So, about 10 days left or so, to crown a November champion.
How about Greg Pickens, though? Picking only one HCRI guy.
Whoa! I didn't
Yeah.
even notice that. Where is that?
Greg is 47.
Okay.
Love Greg. Always want to shout out Greg.
Well, so he picked guys that he got
Yes.
to work with during the college
Correct.
series. So I kind of
Yeah.
get that, right? Maybe it has to do with the benching too. We've covered the benching on this podcast. He got benched for a
Poor
game.
Greg.
So
The first ever non-player healthy scratch we've had.
in league history. If we put that one in the record books, that won't happen again. Right?
I thought he was joking when he came in the office too, because he said it was such a straight face, and I don't know Greg that well, so I was like, "Is he serious? Are we benching an equipment manager? What?"
It's hey, you know what?
True.
If it works, right? And we'll see if they do it again.
Right.
Not right now though. I think the team is in a good spot right now, and we'll talk about some of those games coming up and what to watch for.
And now here's what to watch for in the EHL and the EHLP.
What to watch for is brought to you by Game Time, and luckily for our fans, you don't need Game Time to get tickets for any games, but maybe, in 20 years in the future, we can be on Game Time, right? You get some tickets last minute. Last minute, you can use Game Time picks to secure those tickets. I know, Jake, we were talking about this before. You were saying that you went to Game 6 of an Islanders playoff series with Game Time.
Last game at the Nassau Coliseum. Game Time got me there.
Wow.
Would you call it a Game Time decision?
It was we knew. We woke up that morning and we were like, we are blank checks today. Like this could be the
Wow.
last game here. Whatever this costs, we're doing it. I mean, Game Time it was a very reasonable price for the last game ever in a building. But we bought the tickets as we were driving to the rink to the Nassau Coliseum.
So you're driving to the rink, you don't have the tickets, but you knew because of Game Time you were going to get the tickets.
Correct, and because it's the Nassau Coliseum, baby.
I miss the Collie, dude. I told you that, Jake. I loved going there when I was at Hofstra. That building rocked.
Yeah.
So loud. You're right on top. It was kind of like Matthews, Neil. Did you ever go to the old Coliseum? No?
I did.
You did?
I went
Okay.
to one game there. Yes.
Right, has that Matthews Arena feel. You're just like on top of the ice,
I
friggin'
mean, I
baller.
think my back was touching the back wall, so yeah, I was on
Yeah.
top of the ice. But yes,
But
but
there's not a
hey,
bad seat in that place. There
well,
literally wasn't a bad seat there.
exactly what you just said, Jeff. And if you're like Jake and you're driving in the car to the rink without the tickets, you at least can use their their view system, and you can see where your seat is. But you can spin it all
Oh
around,
yeah,
see if you
Mikey
are
was in the
touching.
passenger seat
Yep.
refreshing the tickets on game time,
Yeah,
and
you
we
can
secured the bag.
you can know
Passenger
exactly where
Princess
you're sitting.
Mikey.
Yeah, you can see exactly where you're sitting, the view that you're going to get, and you can take all the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app now, create your account, use the code THPN for 20% off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account. That redeem code is THPN for 20% off. $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. Game Time as well in the EHL, guys. Let's talk about what's coming up this week. Obviously, we're approaching Thanksgiving here pretty quickly. I think I mentioned this to you guys before. I like how we're hitting a point and everyone's taking a break this year for Thanksgiving. We loved the Thanksgiving showdown that used to take place between the Seahawks
Right.
and the Express, and I think Nash loved an extra treat and getting to pick who won the game. I think he never got it right too, by the way. But that's a different conversation.
Hey, Natty boy.
But to highlight the upcoming games, I think Jake, you're going to a game tomorrow, correct?
Yeah, I'm going to Valley hosting the Junior Eagles tomorrow
Okay,
at
okay.
PTG.
Get it.
That should be a good game. Is that your game to watch since you're going to it?
Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, we'll go with that.
Okay, okay.
I'm very excited about my pick in the P though. Is all I'm gonna say.
Okay. We'll get is it the Wolves?
Spoils my EHL
Are you
pick,
trying to
though,
make up
but-
for something with the Wolves?
Why you gotta like spoil things, dude?
Okay. For me, coming up this weekend, a home and home 2-game series between Philly Hockey Club and the 87s. You can make the case there's not many teams hotter than the 87s right now. And I think there's some frustration from Coach Bartholomew that, they're a little Jekyll and Hyde at times, but when it's the South, right? So you could get 2 1-goal shootout games in there. You could get a sweep. You never know what you're going to get in the South. So I'm highlighting that 2-game series between those two teams.
Well, that ruins it because
I stole yours.
no, Jake did because I was going to pick Wizards Eagles on Tuesday because they're playing for the second time because we were talking about how the Eagles in the East and trying to run up those standings. They've only played each other once, and the last time they did, Eagles were up 2-0, lost 4-2. So I think Coach Moran's gonna, hope for those guys to do things correctly this time. Get the lead, keep the lead, win the game. So that was my pick was Eagles. So I guess we're heavy on Eagles for what to watch for.
Do you want to kick off EHLP, Jake?
Yeah,
Has to.
I'll go with everybody's favorite EHLP captain, Zach Spakuza, just for a change of pace around here. Taking on
exactly.
the Seahawks Hockey Club. I actually mentioned that I really want to see those two teams face off on an earlier podcast. So
Okay.
now it's finally here. And I think they're doing that like EHL and EHLP thing they got going on for Saturday, which is pretty cool. Which I always love. But yeah, no, I'm super pumped for that. Maybe the Seahawks can do it. Maybe the Seahawks are the team to break it. I don't know. Maybe they can do it. I don't know, Trimble. I'm talking to you right now. Are they the ones? They could be it.
Jeff, you want to go next?
No, you could go. I'll go last.
Coming up, I'm kind of cheating as I always do, guys, right? I'm going to pick more than one, but I mentioned what's coming up between now and Thanksgiving, and Providence is busy in the EHLP. Obviously, they've won 7 straight games also, but they play the Nor'easter on Sunday. They play them next Wednesday. They have a Seahawks game. Then they play the Nor'easter one more time. All of these Providence Nor'easter matchups, they intrigue me. So, if the Nor'easter can stay on this hot streak that they're on right now, maybe that's a two-headed race that we see emerge as well in the East Division of the EHLP. So
I'm gonna go to the North Division. Lumberjacks, Avalanche. Lumberjacks, unfortunately, in last in the North right now, but they're not that far out of third where the Warriors are at 17 points. A win versus the Avalanche could propel that Lumberjacks team. We all love Lowry and Gustin and all the beauties that are up there, and they kind of run on energy and love and all that kind of stuff. So, what more love can you get than beating the Avalanche? So, go Jacks. We'll root for the Jacks.
I too run on energy and love.
Same here, Jake. Same here.
Oh my God. On that note, as we always say, if you can't make it out to a game, be sure to tune in on Full Hockey. If you need to, you can check Game Time. We'll get ourselves on Game Time here at some point. That's my next goal. We're gonna do that.
A group outing to a game? Is that what you're saying?
I meant more getting EHL games on Game Time.
Oh.
But we could also do a group outing.
Yeah.
But the tough part for me, Jake, is like I'm a very anxious person. I could not do it in the car ride there.
Yeah, I'm not usually that kind of person, but you wake up that morning and you feel it in your soul, and you go on Game Time.
Feel it in your
Feel it in your soul.
All right, everyone. On that note, we'll talk to you guys next week.
See you later, boys.
Thanks for listening to The E Show, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. Learn more about us at easternhockeyleague.org and follow us on all of your favorite social media platforms. Also, be sure to subscribe and get notified when our next podcast episode is released.